My dear friends, all those virtual high fives, patting on the shoulders, giving ourselves a hug. Hope you're doing great. Today, we have a little topic that is really about change. And I know we live in this turbulent time. So, learning how to go through change and keep our head cool and get great results in the same time, that's probably what we are all asking about, aren't we? And this is something that has been dear to me for many times and many years because I consider myself a high performer, just like I consider you being a high performer being here. And it's not an easy task because when the pressure is on, when the change is on, we want to freeze and we want to throw, the white towel and say, okay, I've had it. Okay, I give up. But I try to do the opposite a little bit. I told you the story over and over again when I grew up on a farm and in a depressed city, and I used to be a depressed kid myself before I really found my way to be positive. And also in the whole adversity and town that there was a lot of bullying, it can be daunting when you're going through change and when you go from class to class at school and you try to level up your skills, and perhaps now where you live you move to a new country or an expat like myself. And there is a lot of turbulence, there is a lot of new input, new stimuli, and we tend to go, at least our body um, generally goes into a survival mode, just slows down. Our inputs are really, everything that's happening is very fast, and what we want to do is we want to slow everything down. So today I have like three things for you, and to just set the foundation, I want you to, it might be a little bit counterintuitive or productive to what I will gonna say later, but just bear with me a little bit and bear with me, just for the next couple minutes. Slowing everything down helps a lot. I call it going back to the drawing board. So you really look and you say, okay, where am I at? How am I thinking? What am I thinking? Where am I not so effective? Where could I be more effective? And especially where there is change, whether that's in an organization, it becomes a lot of, you know, it brings with it a lot of turbulence, people being laid off, people, shifting positions, the whole direction of the company goes in a different direction or, new direction. Your position might mean that you get more people to manage suddenly, more tasks. And you're like, okay, how the heck did I end up suddenly with 10 people to manage? And it might mean that you are little bit insecure in the way you're managing people, insecure in the way you manage yourself. So I hope you're ready because this is a big topic, and I want you to think about yourself on this a little bit personally. Because maybe you have a team, maybe again you're a stay home mom or stay home dad, perhaps you are a manager or C-level executive, perhaps you're an investor and you managing different portfolio of companies. Perhaps you're an entrepreneur. Perhaps you're here really to gain a little bit of wisdom, and in the time you have in the day, you're like, okay, give it to me. I need these three things that you talk about. How do I improve my head? How do I improve myself when going through change? Or how can I help my team? Or how can I help my family? So, first thing, I don't want you to take this personally. You control how you feel. So when there is change happening, a lot of times, and hear me out, because I know that this change that I just mentioned a second ago, where companies going through a different restructuring, and we've seen it, or perhaps you know country that is in a active war, needs to shift its resources quickly. That means you shifting rank, whatever that is. But you need to be operating on your feet. You need to be standing strong in your shoes, as I call it, grounded. And this is a big ask. This is a big ask for a lot of us because let me be blunt. A lot of people out there I've met in my life are coasting. They are happy. There's nothing wrong with it, but they just like enjoying their life, and they're like, yeah, I don't need to grow. I don't need to this. And this is a choice, right? You don't need to grow. You don't need to be better. But the thing is, a lot of people will find out. A lot of people will find out, and I mean, this simple sentence says it all. A lot of people just, go there and think like, oh, we'll be fine. But then they find out they're unprepared to take on the new job. They're unprepared to deal with the anxiety. They're unprepared to cope with the panic attacks. They're unprepared. They don't have the toolbox. They don't have the stamina. They don't have the resilience. And of course, you will grow even if you don't actively pursue it. But imagine if you actively say, you know what? I really want to be and I want to become better when going through change. When you get fired, nobody likes that. But when that happens, what will you do? Will you, freak out? Or will you say, okay, I got this. I know my value. I know what I can do. And again, you can take things personally, you can point fingers, and there is time and place to do this. But in the end, in that moment, you need to decide how you will respond. And I know you've probably heard this in different shapes and forms, but it can help you to really, in that particular moment and the weeks and months and years from there, to become this anchor in your life for yourself. We don't even talk about others, but for yourself, that okay, whatever comes my way, I will figure it out. Whatever comes at me, whatever slaps me on my neck, or tries to wiggle me. And I call this resilience, really. I gave this example many times in the past in the podcast on, people I talk to. You have two type of trees. One tree, is maybe the same kind of strength, the same size. One of them, when the super hard wind hits, just bends, and it doesn't fight it. It's just like going from side to side, back, forth, left, right. The other tree tries to hold on and tries to withstand and tries to maneuver until the wind hits from a side that the tree doesn't expect. And guess what happens? The tree falls over. And it happens to all of us many times in different situations in our life, where we try to fight it, where we try to do everything and grasp at things. And I don't say that in some situations you need to do it. Some situations might really require your tenacity and just say, stand up, speak up, say, okay, I don't agree with this change, I don't agree with this, dear Mr. Manager, dear Mr. CEO, I don't really agree with this. That might mean that you need to write that letter, send it out, and say, this is not fair. The way you treat people, it's not fair. But sometimes it might mean you need to slow down. You need to step back and say, you know what? I'm in control. And this is external environment, and I am in control. Second, in such situation, what helps me a lot, and people that I know or that I train, it's about your vision. Work towards your vision and do not slow down. Actually start keeping your pace and see if you can increase the pace just a little bit. And then it might mean, again, here you might object, Matteo, okay, well, wait a second ago you just said we need to slow down, and you're absolutely right, you need to slow down. And you could reword it as well, climb up, gain a perspective, scope the situation. Where are you at? What's happening? How do you need to react in that situation? But a lot of times when change happens, for me, for other people, I constantly try to remind myself, okay, where am I going? Where okay, there is a change happening. I was responsible for this, and now suddenly I need to be doing that. But where am I going? What are my values? And a lot of times, I've shown you in the previous video this ebook, Mastering Body, Mind, and Life. And this course I created for a reason. So if you haven't been able to visit that and go through these lessons, please do that, because this is foundation for everything I'm actually talking about here, from fitness to health to goal setting. And it's really tiny kind of course to really refresh it. And then you need to do the work. Then you need to decide, okay, do I need more videos here, or ask for help, or whatever it is, ask a friend that I know that does this. And leadership, all these different topics are super important nowadays, and it will remind you to keep going. So you have this vision, and if you don't have a vision, please go back to a drawing board. Even if it's almost end of the year, start designing your vision board for the rest of the year. So for the September, October, November, December, and then for 2024. Don't wait for end of the year and then jumping to the new year and hoping things will change. You need to be that change. You need to say, okay, well, my vision, I don't have a vision. So when you don't have a vision, what will happen? You will, as I said, you will get slapped on the neck and you will be carried in a particular direction. And when you don't have a vision, you cannot course correct. You cannot be like the tree who's bending in the wind and says, okay, well, I know the wind is trying to push me there, but what will happen if I actually try to work my way back slowly, one step at a time until I am in the direction that I need to be? And we know that turbulent times and change is not always a long-term thing. It might mean that, the next couple half year you need to strap in and you need to strap in for the win, but in the back you will return, you go in that direction. But in those turbulent times, you need to remind yourself, you need to be positive, you need to be steady and standing in your shoes. You need to be, reminding yourself that there are books like this one from Jeff Boss, who was, I think, a Navy SEAL officer, and it's called Managing the Mental Game: How to Think More Effectively, Navigate Uncertainty, and Build the Mental Fortitude. And books like this help me a lot help me a lot in my past, or help me actively when I go through these changes. And I know, well, that's been tough. So really just going, as I said, you want to have the vision and you want to keep going. You don't want to be like, that's the thing. A lot of us, and myself included, in the past, I got distracted by it, and then I'm like, oh yeah, what's happening now? I'm like, oh yeah, change, great. And then that means that I need to go back and hold on and say, okay, well, I need to now actually go back to my values and really remind myself, no matter what happens, I will stay positive. I will be optimistic. I will be hardworking. I will not give up, even if I know that, in 3 months there is an uncertainty about this role, or uncertainty about my promotion, or uncertainty about my team, whatever that is. You got to be believing that, things will get better. And sometimes increasing a little bit of pace for yourself and knowing, being a little bit more productive can help. So really increase your production, increase your output, show that you are, not for anybody else. And of course, people are looking. If you really go through change in an organization where people actually decide, okay, are you going to stay on the team, or is it your colleague? Are you actually the one who brings value, or are you actually not bringing value? So maybe you will really need to increase the output. You will really need to increase the productivity. And the third point, I want you to surround yourself with great people. The challenge is that a lot of times when it comes down to change, we go through it ourselves. We go through it alone without really thinking about the consequences, what it means. I mentioned it many times. We live in a curse of the West, people pacing by themselves, people just being a little bit tired and sometimes not getting their results. So especially if you go through change, like myself, I have here from my coach a sticker. And when there is a crisis, I know, I have these 5 steps I should do. And that's from, smiling confidently, knowing, okay, I will figure it out. And, breathing 10, 20 times. That's when I know that breath, according to Andrew Haberman, and a professor from Stanford, you can look him up on YouTube, amazing, amazing human being, then you can really start conditioning your body to go from the survival to, thriving. For me, what helps me is visualizing my island. I've been a couple of years ago in Philippines, and every time I'm in a stressful situation, I'm thinking on that white sand, on that warm sea, on that little sea bat, or, just the bat sitting there, lying there, and just enjoying, inhaling, hearing the birds sing, and just eating a good food. So whatever that is for you, perhaps it's hike, perhaps it's spending time with your loved ones, include that. And then I want you to think about a vision again. Imagine how you're overcoming this change, how you're getting through, how you're getting under, over, above, beyond, and how you're becoming better. I couldn't stress it more enough, but it's one way. One thing is getting through the change, one side to the other, but another is, and a more important one, how you're going to handle it. You can try to cheat and try to, cut corners, be angry, and, smashing everything, or you can be tougher. You can, and I mean, you can really man up, as I call it, a woman up, and say, what would happen if I actually be positive, if I will be cheerful, if I gonna actually cheer others on. And when you surround yourself also with other people on this journey, maybe people from your tribe who struggle, perhaps from your company, say, hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? Should we do it together? Because I quite struggle. Maybe we can, struggle together and have a little bit less struggle, if you will. It will cheer you on. It will give you this energy, this power to become better human being, stronger human being, and overall, together with others, you will really build this momentum and this energy. So I hope it has served. This is a little bit longer video, but I felt like this is important to give you the substance. And there is a lot of tiny details that we would need more time to go into. But if you're interested in this topic, again, please reach out. Maybe I have a program for you, or just go through the Mastering Body, Mind, and Life. Check the YouTube, check the podcast. I'm also in the past, I have done, as I mentioned to you, building a company called FitFun, and we are revisiting that. And there we had a couple experts, if you will, from different domains who are talking about different things. So maybe you will find something that will resonate with you and you can connect with them, or you come back and say, hey, I really want to hear more about this. But take this is a journey. This is not a one day and you will be finished. Change is tough. You're changing. And this is why I like to do this exercise, looking back at your last 10 years, looking at the top 5 to 10 milestones that you had to overcome, and how did you do it, what have you learned, and who you are today. Perhaps back then it used to be very big, but for you today it's something to laugh about and laugh at. So I hope it served you. I hope it gave you a little bit perspective and a difference how to think about your life, and it gave you this energy to really be positive and use change to your advantage. So remember, you are as strong as you actually think, and you're way stronger than you think. So stay awesome, stay resilient, and until the next time, I'm looking forward to see you soon again. Stay legendary. Bye.